I used to think turning 65 meant it was time to slow down. Time to rest. But one morning, I went out for a jog. That simple decision changed everything. For years, I thought I had it all figured out. I worked hard, raised kids, paid off the house, and finally crossed the finish line into retirement. And for a while, it felt good. Quiet mornings with a cup of coffee, afternoons tending the garden, maybe catching a rerun of a favorite old show. But somewhere along the way, something shifted. It wasn't a crisis, not really. Just this subtle feeling that the world was still moving, but I wasn't. My days started blending together. I'd wake up without a plan, eat whatever was easy, skip the walks I used to enjoy. I told myself I was just slowing down, like I was supposed to. But here's the thing, my spirit didn't feel tired. My body, yes. My knees ached, my back complained. But inside? Deep down? I still had that spark. I just didn't know what to do with it anymore. Then one morning, something small but powerful happened. I remember it clearly. It was early October, the kind of morning where the sun is soft, the air is crisp, and the whole world feels like it's breathing a little deeper. I looked at my old sneakers in the closet. They were dusty, forgotten. I don't know why, but I put them on. I didn't go far. Just around the block. My breath was heavy, my legs unsure. But as I moved, something shifted. Not in my body, but in my heart. I felt awake again. Present. Alive. That one walk turned into a habit. A habit turned into a routine. And slowly, I started to feel like me again. Not the me from 20 years ago. But a new version, wiser, softer, but still capable. Still curious. Still full of life. That's when I realized, this chapter of life, this so-called retirement, isn't an ending. It's a new beginning. And it doesn't have to be about fading quietly into the background. It can be vibrant, meaningful, and even exciting. Now, I spend my days sharing that message, with people like you. I'm a content creator and a wellness storyteller, focused on the health, nutrition, emotional well-being, and everyday joys of older adults. Especially here in the US, where so many of us are living longer, but not always living better, I believe it's time we change that story. Because the truth is, there's no right way to grow older. There's just your way. Whether you live alone, with a partner, or are caring for someone you love, your well-being still matters. Your joy still matters. And no, I won't throw medical jargon at you or lecture about leafy greens. I'll tell you stories. Real stories. About people who felt stuck and found their spark again. About meals that are good for your heart and your soul. About the little habits that add up to big changes, not overnight, but day by day. So if you're here, reading this, maybe something inside you is stirring too. Maybe you're wondering if there's more. There is. And it doesn't require a gym membership or a dramatic lifestyle overhaul. It might just start with a simple walk. A different breakfast. A phone call to a friend. A choice to try something new. You're not done yet. Not even close. Let's take this next step together. So what got me out the door that morning? Honestly, I was just tired. Not the kind of tired a nap could fix. Not the kind that goes away after a good night's sleep. I was tired of feeling tired, physically, emotionally, spiritually. I didn't like the way my body felt when I woke up. I didn't like how heavy everything seemed, even simple things like getting dressed or cooking a meal. But more than that, I didn't like how I felt. Inside. I missed having something to look forward to. I missed feeling connected, to myself, to the world, to some kind of purpose. There were days I'd just sit in the kitchen, stirring my coffee, wondering, is this it? Is this really what the rest of my life is going to feel like? And the truth is, nothing dramatic happened. No doctor gave me a scare. No one pushed me to change. It was just this quiet, growing feeling that I didn't want to live the rest of my years on autopilot. I didn't want to wait for something to happen. I wanted to choose something. Running, or let's be honest, slow jogging at first, wasn't about losing weight or hitting some big goal. It was about proving to myself that I could still start something. That I could still move forward, even when I wasn't sure where I was going. It wasn't easy. The first time, I barely made it down the block without stopping. But when I got back home, cheeks flushed and heart pounding, I smiled for the first time in weeks. Because deep down, I knew, something had shifted. But let me be honest with you. Just because I started didn't mean it was easy. Those first few weeks? They were rough. My legs ached in places I didn't even know could ache. My knees were stiff, my back complained, and my shoes, well, let's just say they weren't exactly made for running. I came home after every short jog limping just a little, wondering if I was pushing too hard, too late. And then there was the other part. The part no one talks about. The feeling of being watched. You know, when you're out there, moving slow, huffing and puffing down the sidewalk, while younger folks in sleek outfits jog past like gazelles. I'd catch a glimpse of myself in a store window and think, do I look ridiculous? My mind would spiral, they must think I'm too old for this. What am I even doing out here? It's funny how much noise our own mind can make, isn't it? But I reminded myself, those voices weren't coming from the people around me. They were coming from inside, from old doubts, old fears. The kind that sneak in as we get older and start to question our worth, our strength, our place in the world. So I made a decision, I wouldn't listen to those voices. Instead, I'd listen to my breath, my heartbeat, the sound of my feet on the pavement. One step at a time. And then, almost quietly, without fanfare, things started to change. It was about 3 weeks in. I wasn't keeping track, not really. There was no calendar on the fridge, no checkmarks or fitness app. I was just doing it. One foot in front of the other. One morning at a time. But I remember the moment it hit me. It was a Tuesday. Slight breeze, the smell of cut grass in the air. I had just finished my walk/slow jog, and as I came up the driveway, I realized, my legs didn't feel like concrete. My chest wasn't heaving. My back didn't hurt. In fact, I felt light. Not lighter in weight, necessarily, though my pants had started to feel a bit looser, but lighter in my whole being. I wasn't dragging through the day anymore. I had energy, not in bursts, but in a quiet, steady way. Like a candle that no longer flickered, but burned strong. I started waking up earlier, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. I looked forward to those mornings outside, just me, the open road, and a little time to breathe. And that low, gray cloud that had been hovering in my mind? It was lifting. I smiled more. I joked with the lady at the deli again. I called my sister just to say hi. Even food started to taste better. Music felt richer. I noticed the colors of the sky again. It was as if my body had remembered how to feel good, and my heart had remembered how to hope. And no, it wasn't perfect. There were still sore muscles some days. Still a little voice inside that whispered, "You're not 30 anymore." But now, I had another voice. A stronger one. One that said, "Yeah, but you're still here. And you're stronger than you think." That's when I knew, this wasn't just a phase. This wasn't about losing weight or ticking off some goal. This was about coming home to myself. About giving my body and my spirit what they had been quietly craving all along, movement, purpose, joy. And just when I thought things couldn't get any better, they did. It started with a flyer. Taped to the bulletin board at the local library. Silver Striders, walking and running group for 60+. I stood there staring at it for a moment, coffee in one hand, library book in the other. My first thought? That's probably not for me. But then I thought again. Why not me? A few days later, I showed up. I'll be honest, I was nervous. I didn't know anyone. I imagined they'd all be fitter, faster, more experienced. I thought maybe I'd be the slowest one there, the odd one out. But as soon as I arrived, all that melted away. They welcomed me with smiles, laughter, and a warmth I hadn't felt in years. There were folks in their 60s, 70s, even a couple of lively 80-year-olds who could outpace me without breaking a sweat. But no one was there to compete. We were there to connect. To move. To be part of something again. We shared stories about grandkids, recipes, old travel adventures, and favorite walking shoes. We encouraged each other, cheered each other on, waited for each other at the end of every loop. And let me tell you, those Saturday mornings became something sacred. Running, or walking, or however each of us moved, was no longer just about health. It became about community. About laughter echoing through the park. About showing up for each other, even on the cold mornings, even when our knees creaked a little more than usual. And I realized. We don't just need movement. We need each other. Because joy multiplies when it's shared. And healing? Healing happens faster when you don't have to do it alone. Funny thing is, I didn't set out to feel younger. I just wanted to feel better. But somewhere along the way, better became younger. These days, I wake up before the alarm. Not because I have to, but because I'm excited to start the day. My body feels looser, lighter. I don't groan every time I get up from the couch. I bend down to tie my shoes and realize, hey, that didn't hurt this time. And at night? I sleep like I haven't in years. No more tossing and turning at 2 a.m. No more staring at the ceiling, worrying about things I can't control. My mind is calmer. My heart's quieter. It's like my body finally trusts that it's being cared for again. And you know what else? I smile more. Not the polite kind of smile, but the kind that shows up for no reason, when I'm walking past the bakery, or watching the sun slip behind the trees, or hearing someone in my running group crack the same corny joke for the 10th time. There's a lightness to everything now. Not because life got easier, but because I stopped dragging around the weight of inaction, of disconnection, of maybe someday. Now, I feel grounded, energized, more me than I've felt in decades. And that, to me, is the best kind of youth, not about age, but about energy, about joy, about looking at the road ahead and thinking, yes, there's still more. So if you're sitting there wondering if it's too late to move, to change, to feel alive again, let me be the one to say, it's not. I don't care if you're 60, 70, or beyond. You still have more life to live, more joy to feel, more mornings to wake up excited for. You don't need to run a marathon. You don't even have to run. Maybe it's a walk around the block. Maybe it's dancing in your kitchen. Maybe it's signing up for that class you've been thinking about, or calling someone you miss. Whatever it is, just start. Start messy. Start slow. Start tired, if you must. But start. Because here's what I've learned. It's never too late to begin something new. And if you trust yourself enough to take that very first step, you'll be amazed at what can happen. Believe me, there's magic in those first footsteps. And that magic, it's waiting for you. Have you tried something new after 60? Or are you thinking about it? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. And if this touched your heart, hit that follow button. There's so much more to come. More stories. More hope. More reasons to believe in this beautiful chapter of life.